1997, 23-year-old Leroy Bevins traveled from Grand Bahama to Florida for a vacation. His intention was simple: to visit childhood friends of Bahamian descent who had relocated to Florida years earlier. Upon arrival, he checked into the Plantation Inn Hotel. 2 weeks later, one of Leroy's friends was found murdered, shot twice, once in the head and once in the torso. Neighbors reported that they saw a man, someone who had visited the victim before, remove a window and break into the apartment. Moments later, the victim walked in. Neighbors reported hearing 2 gunshots. Afterward, they said the man exited, walked over to her apartment, and asked to use her phone. 2 days later, the victim's fiancé discovered his body. Together with police, she contacted the victim's next of kin, his brother, who lived in another city. When asked about potential roommates, past or present, the brother explained that his deceased brother often had different people coming in and out of the apartment. He added that Leroy Bevins had only stayed there one evening 2 weeks earlier before leaving his hotel. Police then arrested Leroy Bevins, stating it was only for questioning. According to reports, the victim's own brother later told police that Leroy had been staying with him in another part of the city since checking out of his hotel. He confirmed Leroy had never lived with the victim. Inside the victim's apartment, investigators discovered a pair of jeans with bloodstains and droplets. The prosecution ordered a DNA test to determine whether the blood belonged to Mr. Bevins. However, the result was conclusive. The DNA did not match the victim, and it did not match Leroy Bevins either. So whose was it? 8 fingerprints were recovered from the scene. 4 matched the victim, the other 4 did not match Leroy Bevins. Gunshot residue tests showed Leroy's hands and clothing were clean. No indication he had fired a gun. Adding to the evidence in his favor, a young woman came forward and provided a sworn statement that Leroy was with her that night. She even went to the police voluntarily. She told them Leroy was wearing a maroon fila t-shirt and black jeans. Leroy himself testified the same. But the neighbors who witnessed the break-in described the suspect as wearing a white shirt, a clear contradiction. Even in their initial statements, they noted the man had an afro hairstyle and gold front teeth. Leroy never wore an afro, even as a child, and had no gold teeth. A simple request for dental records from the Bahamas could have confirmed this, but Leroy's attorney failed to do so. There's more. The victim was a known drug dealer, with frequent visitors in and out of the apartment. During the autopsy, it was noted that the victim was clutching a bundle of cash when he was shot. Police also reported finding an undetermined amount of cash, ski masks, a bulletproof vest, firearms, and ammunition throughout the victim's apartment. The man neighbors saw that night, someone they recognized from the past, had reportedly lived with the victim before. Yet Leroy had just arrived in Florida. He didn't match the description, he didn't have the connections, and still he was arrested. In a further attempt to find evidence, officers removed Leroy's sneakers and left him barefoot in a jail cell, hoping to detect blood spatter. Again, they found nothing. His shoes were clean, just like the rest of him. Faced with growing inconsistencies, we brought in independent forensic experts, reviewed all records, and even enlisted college interns to re-examine the case. Witness statements were analyzed. Meetings were held. Calls were made. Every step led us back to the same conclusion. They had the wrong man. Let's be clear. The fingerprints did not match Leroy Bevins. The DNA at the scene was neither the victim's nor Leroy's. He tested negative for gunshot residue. The suspect's appearance and clothing did not match his, and he had a credible, consistent alibi. Without evidence and no motive, Leroy Bevins was charged and indicted for first-degree murder with a firearm. But court records revealed Leroy was never charged with possession of a firearm. By law, in order to indict someone for first-degree murder with a firearm, the prosecutor must first charge that person with firearm possession. Clearly, Mr. Bevins was never charged with such. The first trial began. Judge Alfred Horowitz, a county court judge who normally handled minor and misdemeanor cases, was temporarily assigned to preside over Leroy's capital case in December of 1998. His assignment to the circuit court was for only 60 days under an administrative order. Once the trial began, Leroy disagreed with how his attorney, Stephen Hammer, then president of the criminal justice system in Fort Lauderdale, was defending him. Leroy asked the judge to remove Hammer, but when the judge refused, Leroy fired him in court. With only a high school education, Leroy cross-examined 7 of the prosecution's witnesses himself, including detectives, crime scene technicians, and neighbors. Facing the electric chair, he went head-to-head with the prosecutor seeking the death penalty. The prosecutor accused Leroy of stealing the victim's jewelry, but Leroy's sister, 9 months pregnant, flew in from the Bahamas and testified with video and photographs proving Leroy already owned the jewelry before arriving in Florida. For 5 days, Leroy defended himself. After deliberating for 2 days, the jury remained deadlocked. The judge declared a hung jury. March 1999, the second trial. The prosecutor retried the case, again with Judge Horowitz presiding. But by then, the judge's 60-day temporary assignment had expired. Neither the prosecutor nor the judge renewed the order. That meant, by law, the judge no longer had jurisdiction over the case. Despite this, the second trial proceeded. Leroy's lawyer returned, and after only 2 days, the jury found Leroy guilty, without evidence and under a judge who had no authority to preside. He was sentenced to prison. Leroy Bevins has spent 27 years in prison for a crime he did not commit. This is not just a miscarriage of justice. It is an enduring failure of the legal system. And equally troubling is the silence from those who should be speaking up. 4 prime ministers of the Bahamas across different administrations have been made aware of Leroy's case. Not one has taken decisive action. No official inquiry, no diplomatic request, no push for justice. After conviction, the Innocence Project of Florida later reviewed the case and stated the same. No evidence linked Leroy Bevins to the crime. In 2001, Leroy applied for a treaty transfer to serve his sentence in the Bahamas. Governor Jeb Bush denied the request without explanation. The Bahamas Consulate in Miami, under the direction of Foreign Affairs Minister Fred Mitchell, ignored decades of family calls, letters, and emails requesting help. In 27 years of incarceration, more than 68 Bahamian diplomats rotated through the Miami Consulate. Each one was informed of Leroy's situation, but none acted on his behalf. Why has the government failed to act on behalf of a citizen unjustly imprisoned abroad? Why is there silence when the evidence speaks so clearly? Justice delayed is justice denied. And for Leroy Bevins, justice has been denied for nearly 3 decades. Mr. Bevins then reached out to the Bahamas ambassador and the United States Justice Department in Washington, D.C. Upon contact, diplomat Jermaine Davis began to sort the legal diplomacy provided within the government upon the defendant Mr. Bevins' behalf. He then started to make inquiries for the case to be thrown out and requested for Mr. Bevins to be deported back to the Bahamas through the terms of the treaty transfer agreement. But for personal reasons from some within the Ministry of Foreign Affairs Department, he was told to remove himself from the matter. The question is why? The Florida Department of Law Enforcement knew that no evidence linked Mr. Bevins to the crime, long before the trial began in 1998. The fingerprints, DNA, and description may belong to one person or 3 different individuals. What is clear, none of it belonged to Leroy Bevins. It's time for the courts to re-examine this case. It's time for the leaders of the Bahamas to take a stand. It's time to bring Leroy home.